This is not Die Hard. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. I just got back from an early screening of the new rock movie Skyscraper. Thank you so much to Real D and Stardust for inviting me. It was so much fun as always. And I'm going to do a little review for you guys because I've been so excited for Skyscraper. Oh my goodness. Like, we all know how much I absolutely love The Rock. I will watch just about anything he's in, even if I don't think it's going to be good. And this was one of those movies. I thought it was going to be a Die Hard and Mission Impossible kind of ripoff, but it kind of is, but it more so isn't. It's a very nice mix of the two, but it has its own thing. It's so much fun. And let's just get right into it. Up top, yes, there are definite comparisons to Die Hard. He's breaking into a building instead of being trapped in the building. So there's that a little bit of difference. And there's Mission Impossible kind of stunts that he does, which they're just very outlandish, very much playing to The Rock being a really strong person, like both mentally and physically, mostly physically. And he does some really insane building climbing and just like hugging a building, walking from ledge to ledge, like Tom Cruise would in a Mission Impossible movie. With all those comparisons, it still is very much its own thing. Like I said, he's breaking into the building versus like being trapped in the building. There are some like not necessarily German, because there's kind of like a mix of a bunch of different, like there's an English bad guy and a German bad guy and Chinese bad guys, and it's just like a mix of a bunch of foreign bad guys, which sounds kind of bad, because I mean, he's American and he's in Hong Kong, but one of the other bad guys is American, so I guess you just get a little bit of everybody being a bad guy. It is also very much just a rock action movie, which I absolutely love. It's so much fun. It is definitely a popcorn movie. And of course, as I say with pretty much every Real D screening I go to, it is so much more fun to watch these movies with people. It just, the whole audience was cheering and laughing at all the same things, and you just get this really great camaraderie experience with everybody throughout the whole thing. It's so much fun. Honestly, I think I'm going to be weaving in and out of these Die Hard comparisons the whole time because I can't keep my notes straight. I was trying to watch the movie a lot closer than I usually do while I was writing my notes because I was just so sucked into this movie. So if my notes seem a little back and forth, it's because I was so enraptured by the amazing action and just stunts in this movie. Oh, there are some very laughable scenes at The Rock's feats of strength, which, yes, you can expect him to be doing some very absurd things, but at the same time, well, I wouldn't say it's like realistic feeling, but it kind of is. Actually, it's not very realistic, which makes it even more fun and funnier. The director even came and talked to us a little bit right at the beginning of the screening and said that he had been wanting to make an action movie since he first saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. And this doesn't necessarily have a Raiders of the Lost Ark feel to it, but you can see a little bit where it pays homage to it, because it's kind of an out there action movie, but it also pays homage to some of the great ones like Mission Impossible and Die Hard, because there is sort of a barefoot on the glass kind of scene, but it's not barefoot on the glass. He's pulling glass out of other parts of his body, so you do end up getting to see The Rock's tattoos and things like that, if that gives you any clue as to where he's pulling the glass out of. But overall, I think this is a very well-crafted story for an action movie. It can be a bit predictable at parts, but honestly, what crazy action movie like this isn't? What kind of disaster movie isn't a bit predictable at parts? I really did like the intro to this because it didn't have to give you a whole lot of backstory for you to understand what was going on. It gave you a short, probably 5-ish minute scene at the beginning to kind of introduce The Rock's character and Neve Campbell's character, which I will get to Neve Campbell in a minute because, woo! Yes, Neve Campbell. But it gives you like a 5-minute introduction to the two of them, and that does play a little bit of a role into a scene at the end, but not as much as you would think, considering it's such a big setup. And then when it gets to that point, you think, oh, it's kind of going to come down to this, and it goes something different. And I really liked the kind of bait and switch a little bit that they did there, but they also bait and switch you with something that they do earlier. So if you kind of put the two together when you're watching it, you will know what's going to happen at the end, but it's okay. It's still a pretty great payoff because it's an action movie. Even if it's predictable, it's still fun. It's still a good time. So like I mentioned, Neve Campbell. I'm going to go on a bit of a Neve Campbell appreciation rant here because, oh my goodness. We all know I'm not a huge fan of horror movies unless they're kind of the campy horror movies from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, and like really old original horror, like a lot of the Universal monsters and things like that. But one of my absolute favorite horror movies of all time is the very first Scream movie. In college, for my film history of horror class, I wrote an entire paper on the final girl and basing it around Scream. And Neve Campbell was a very central part of that because she plays the final girl in Scream. All of the Scream movies, basically, except for maybe the fourth one. I don't know. I didn't watch the fourth one. Neve Campbell has a very special place in my heart, and when I found out she was in Skyscraper, I was so excited because she looked like she was going to be a badass, and she was. She was amazing, and as much as I love The Rock, as great as he was in this, which, by the way, Dwayne Johnson was pretty great. I mean, he had very emotional roles, more emotional so than he would have or has had in any of his past action movies. So I was very, very happy to see him do that kind of thing. But as much as I love The Rock, Neve Campbell really stole the show for me because she was such a strong, badass woman that we need in these action films more so than guys like The Rock. And she wasn't the only badass woman in this. There was a really great villain that was played by a woman. She kicked butt. And one of the women cops on the Chinese police force was really great too. She didn't have as much badassness as like Neve Campbell or the villain woman, but she was kind of more of the like street smarts kind of badass. And rounding out the main cast with The Rock and Neve Campbell's children, I don't remember the names of the actors that played the two, but the little boy, he was okay. I mean, he just kind of played the son part, but the daughter was so good because she had more of a role. She had more of a part to play, and she was really badass, like Neve Campbell's character. This movie really brought strong women to the forefront, and I really appreciate it for that. I really love it for that. So overall, this movie was just so much fun. Ignore the comparisons that everyone might make to the fact that it is basically a Die Hard ripoff, because it's not. It just seems like it would be Die Hard in a very, very tall building, because there are some parts of it that are like that. There are very obvious comparisons to make to that and to Mission Impossible. In its heart of hearts, it's its own thing. It's its own goofy, fun, popcorn action flick, and I definitely recommend going to see this with a bunch of friends, especially in Real D, and it's not because they invited me to an early screening. It's because it always, Real D looks so good. I love being able to go see Real D screenings. It's definitely something fun to watch, especially for a summer movie. For my rewatch score for this, I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Stardust, and I would definitely love to watch this again. It is a lot of fun. So I probably would get like a group of people and Redbox this and just watch it and have a blast. Just make some popcorn, make some pizza, or order some pizza, or do something. Just have a big old party and watch this movie again, because it is just so much fun. My rewatch score is definitely Redbox, still a 4 out of 5. So let me know in the comments if you're excited for Skyscraper, because I certainly was, and I was not disappointed. And when you do finally see it, please let me know in the comments down below or tweet me your favorite parts of it. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really truly do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking all things movies, TV shows, filmmaking, film history, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye!